Hey, how are
Thanks.
we?
Really good, thank you. So, first question I've got. I know you've been calling out a lot of people. One of them's Conor McGregor. Someone else from the UFC who you actually mates with now, Jorge Masvidal. You never know the way the fight world works at the moment. He could be potentially stepping into a boxing world ring in a couple of years. If that was to happen, who do you think would win?
Uh, it's hard to say. I've never sparred against him, but obviously he's a great striker, one of the best strikers in the world. And again, that probably wouldn't happen for a couple of years. And I don't like fighting my friends, so probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, I guess like you said, you never know.
Yeah, I feel that. And then, are there any like kind of comments or people in particular that you kind of have bookmarked in your mind? Like, oh, I can't wait to kind of like show them wrong.
No.
Hey Jake, I want to ask you about last Friday, your final sparring session ahead of this fight. You were in there with Charlie Decca, who's a 3-0 pro, and the great Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, a famous internet troll, a guy in the MMA community who is divisive. Can you talk to me a bit about your final sparring session with the great Pretty Boy?
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, these guys are all better than Ben. I think he was doing some interviews after the sparring session and was like, it was good and he was better than I expected and he's fast and I landed some good shots. No, you didn't.
Back and realize how far you've come in your boxing career so quickly. Just like a couple of years ago, you were just doing daily vlogs and stuff, and now you're fighting in one of the biggest stadiums in America. Have you just had a chance to step back and take it all in?
I honestly haven't. I think, my team helps me reflect on sort of where I've gotten to and how far I've come, but I've just been going nonstop and haven't really had a chance to look back and be like, wow, that's crazy or this is crazy. I think it's starting to set in a little bit, but it is pretty absurd. I'm in my third pro fight, fighting 8 rounds, headlining. One of the biggest pay-per-views that could happen this decade. If you look at Floyd Mayweather, his third fight was 6 rounds. He got paid $7,000, and I don't think anyone in this room probably watched it.
Hey Jake. So you mentioned wanting to challenge yourself, but also have fun. And I know that you've got your eyes set on guys like Conor McGregor. But are there any kind of like more fun kind of influencers that you are interested in fighting moving forward? Like guys on Twitch, or even like TikTok or YouTube streamers, stuff like that.
Yeah. There's a company right now that wants to pay me an absurdly large amount of money to fight an influencer. So I'll gladly go knock out these guys for money. I've developed a skill now, right? And that skill is fighting. And if someone wants to pay to see my skill and use my name, which is one of the biggest names in combat sports right now, then I'll gladly pick up the bag.
How would you map out a road if from now to here to there? How would you get there?
I think we both are on a road to each other. He wants another boxing fight. He wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. He would get toasted. He just keeps on taking L's. So I think him fighting me would not only be his money fight, but it would technically be the easiest challenge, right? I think fighting Jake Paul would probably be easier than fighting Manny Pacquiao, and it would be just as big. And I think we're a lot closer to a Jake Paul Conor McGregor fight than anyone thinks. I think it could happen in the next 24 months.
In terms of your long-term goals, Jake, what are your long-term goals? Because I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong if you went out there and fought in a million fights against Nate Robinsons and made millions of dollars. I think people forget this is called prize fighting. But what are your long-term goals in this sport?
I want to continue to challenge myself with my opponents and continue to build up my level of competition and to make history with historic events, and break pay-per-view records and fight big names and just have fun, man. Like this is such a fun sport, This is such a fun time, and these events are so cool, and I want to bring more eyeballs, just in general.
Looking at this from a strategic standpoint, you have several inches on him in height, reach, and weight. How big of a factor is that going to be going into this fight?
I think it'll be massive. You know, Ben's not used to fighting at this weight, and that's another thing that people aren't even talking about. They talk about his cardio being so good, but he's lugging around an extra 25 pounds coming out of retirement. I'm ready to go into deep waters. He's used to fighting guys his same height. Masvidal, you know, I've been training with Masvidal a bit, and it's like I'm towering over Masvidal. That's the type of guys that Ben is used to fighting, and people always say when they meet me, they're like, "Damn, you're big. You're bigger than I thought," all the time. And so that'll play a huge factor, and he won't be able to get close to me. He won't be able to do all the things that he's planning on doing. He's talking about coming in with defense and pressure. That pressure and him coming forward is going to get him knocked out.
I've got a couple of questions for you. Jake, this boxing path that you're on right now, there's this expectation from the fans who are watching this for you to eventually fight KSI. It's in the comments, it's in the socials. They'll type for you to fight KSI. Like, have you had any contact with KSI in the lead up to this fight, and do you think he still wants to fight you?
I don't really want to talk about him anymore.
Okay. And with that said, like, as you delve deeper into the fight game, you've been training from the first time you put on the gloves to now. There are levels in the sport. You've got your domestic, international, world-class, elite. What level do you see yourself at now, and what level do you think people see you as?
I see myself as an elite fighter right now, a young prospect with a lot of motivation, a lot of hunger. And I think people see me as a shitty amateur. So there's a sort of a big difference, and there's a big gap in between where I'm actually at and what the general audience will think. But I'm excited again to show my ability on Saturday.
Your videos, you had like a visit to the doctors who talked about like the damage that you've received already. Are you worried about, as you take more risks, the effects you've experienced and what could come?
Yes and no. You know, it's a dangerous sport. And that's why when people question my dedication to it, it's like I'm showing up every single day. I'm putting my mental health on the line. My brain is on the line. I like you said, I've gone and gotten brain scans and have early signs of CTE. But I love this sport, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And I'm a fighter, and people will see that, whether it's after Saturday night or whether it's a year from now, that they will see that I'm a fighter.
You talked about dealing with things mentally. You've had to deal with stuff in the lead up, that's including the loss of someone personal to you. Do you carry that into the fight, and are you dedicating your performance to Shadow, who you lost quite recently?
Yeah, no, 100%, man, and it's a shock to all of us in the team, and it's deeply affected us, and it's hard without him. You know, when you're with someone every single day, and you live with them, and they're, you know, he was a father figure to me in many ways, and had my back 24/7, and yeah, he's gone now, and I've never experienced something like that before. But you know, he would want me to go out there and knock this guy out.